Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. It's good to be with you today. It's a cold, snowy, icy morning here where I am. I hope your situation's warmer than this one and less slippery. But do what you have to do to be safe and take care of yourself. That's always important. And today I'd like to share, or continue to share from the book of Proverbs with a couple of verses from the third chapter. Now, most of the third chapter talks about wisdom that's gained by following God. So, in that context, he says in verse 24, if you have this wisdom that comes from following God, it will keep you safe on your way and your feet will not stumble. You can go to bed without fear. You will lie down and sleep soundly. You need not be afraid of sudden disaster or the destruction that comes upon the wicked. For the Lord is your security. He will keep your foot from being caught in a trap. Some interesting thoughts expressed here. One, knowing that learning from God brings wisdom. You know, there are lots of ways to gain knowledge, not a lot of ways to gain wisdom. You can't read about it in a book. You can't study it in a classroom. You can learn a lot of facts. And I know a lot of people who memorize lots of the Bible, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. You know, you can know all kinds of verses about the Bible and not know the God about whom the Bible's written. To learn his ways and learn about him and orient our lives towards his ways. They are always the best anyway. And regardless of what anybody else says, they really are the real truth. So this passage here says that assuming you're doing that. Now, if you're not, that's a whole different situation. But let's assume for today's sake that you're trying anyway. And he says that your feet will keep you safe and you won't stumble. Today's a good day not to go walking where I am. You're likely to stumble or slide or fall or whatever else words you want to use. I ran into a guy coming down the hill and he said that he didn't even have to walk. He just slowly slid on down from his place. Well, that's kind of what you're going to find around here. But here it's talking about your feet stumbling in life. Our feet stumble or we stumble when something happens that we were totally not expecting. And it throws us for a loop, as they say. It gets us off our game. It keeps us from motoring on ahead because we had this plan that was getting from here to there, and all of a sudden there's something in the road, and we can't get. Keeps this from happening. Now it goes on to say that you can go to bed without fear, and you will lie down and sleep soundly. A lot of people have trouble sleeping. My wife's one of them. It's really strange because some nights she'll sleep all night long, and some nights just a couple hours. And she says when she wakes up, she can't get back to sleep. Her mind just keeps racing. Uh, she kids me. Evidently, I'm not like that because I can fall asleep in a minute, almost anywhere. And I think she's kind of envious, but I don't know if that's good or bad. But you can sleep without fear. I know of situations where people are afraid to go to sleep. I mean, they're really afraid. They don't know what's going to happen if they go to sleep. I'm not talking about little children's fear of the dark and fear of monsters under the bed. I'm talking about situations where people think it's so critical they can't take their mind off of it. And this passage says that if we have made wisdom from learning from God our foundation, then we can sleep soundly. And maybe some of you guys could use that. And then it goes on to say that you need not be afraid of sudden disaster. Now, I don't know about you, but in my experience in life, it's those sudden, unexpected, disastrous moments that are really difficult to overcome. You just didn't expect them. And it throws you into a state of panic. And you immediately race to 1,000 places where you got to do something when in fact you can't do anything. And you think about this and you think about that, you think about this other thing, and you think, what if this? Now, what about this? Now, how about this? Oh my goodness, this sort of thing. And it just destroys your sense of peace. It destroys your sense of happiness, destroys your sense of life. And Proverbs here is telling us that if we've made wisdom gained by learning from God our foundation, then we don't have to be afraid of those sudden moments. Oh, sure, we got to make changes. We got to rethink some things. We may have to think about some things we never thought we'd ever have to think about, but we'll be able to do it. And we can sleep soundly knowing that God will, in fact, guide us through it. We can have confidence that whatever hits us, we can get through it. We don't have to know how at the beginning. We certainly don't have to know why it showed up. We just have to know, what does God want us to do now? And then the scripture here tells us, as it's winding down, the Lord is your security. He will keep your foot from being caught in a trap. What that's saying is, whatever happens, big, small, looks like it's life-threatening or not, whatever happens, the wisdom we've gained from trying to follow God will give us security. And we can know, because we know that God is in charge. And as I've said many times, God never says, oops, when something unexpected happens. One day after the fact, we can look back and we can perhaps see how it all made sense. It won't make sense at the moment that it's happening. It won't be easy the moment that sudden destruction comes. It won't be any fun, but we can still rest because we know if we're standing on the wisdom that comes from learning about God, our feet won't slip and it won't get caught in a trap, and we can rest easily in the midst of it. Well, how does your life reflect these kinds of thoughts? If it describes you, then great. Keep it up. If not, then feel free to spend some time working on it. It's okay. I have to too. Well, thanks for listening. If you have a concern or a prayer need, let us know. We'll do whatever we can to help meet your need. And thank you for listening. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you again.